If you had any advice to, I guess to me, for finishing first 100-mile mountain race, like, what would your biggest piece of advice be? Because I'm running Bighorn 100 in June. It's like 22,000 feet of gain and descent, super mountainous, very muddy, very technical trails. And I'm sure a lot of people listening are probably getting ready to do a trail race this summer.
Yeah.
What would be your biggest piece of advice?
When it comes to, don't complicate nutrition.
I have an iron stomach.
It's all calories in.
Yeah.
And I feel like Leadville 1, like I was focused on like carbohydrates. No, which you and I we could dive into that for hours, but you need to focus on your calories. I would try what I said for Rocky, and this worked, and I felt great at Rocky. I felt phenomenal, and this is what I did. If you're running 5 miles an hour, you're going to be burning around 500 calories an hour. Or let's bring that down. If you're running 4 miles an hour, you're going to burn around right under 500 an hour. So in the early stages of the race, I would make sure no matter what you're doing to push at least 500 calories an hour and really focus on the calories and not on like what the product is. Like when I went out and paced one of my athletes at Brazo Spend, and I could notice that he was getting under his calorie intake. And when he came into the aid station, I had the most massive scoop of peanut butter that you could ever see. And it was like mile 70. And I'm like, you're going to eat this son of a bitch before you leave this aid station. And he's like eating it, and like it's late in the race. He's like retching. And I'm like, just keep eating it, brother. Like calories, man. It's all, I mean, it truly is about calories. That'll save you later in the race. So my advice is to stack up. I would try to at least get 500 calories in per hour. Stay on top of your electrolytes and your water intake. You should be having to urinate, having to pee once every couple hours. I which is another good thing for me at Rocky. I had to stop and pee a lot. I just kept pushing electrolytes and water. Monitor what color that is as well. You want it to be, it can be a little yellow, but once you start, you don't want it to be brown. You don't want it to be like very dark. So monitor that. And then when it comes to the running side of it, outside of nutrition, you want to make sure that the biggest thing is it comes down to how much energy you are putting out. And you shouldn't be putting out much energy at all. So if you're running up a small incline and you feel like, you feel that heart rate start to rise, why are you running? Like you have 100 miles, you have 24 to 30 hours. You should be putting out you should be energy efficient. You should be running at a pace that is just the most cruise control that you've ever ran at. So if you have to walk. So what we say is you walk the ups, you lightly jog the downs, and you run the flats. That would be and now do not my Leadville 1 mistake was I ran power line, that biggest incline I was telling you have to run down it going out. I ran down it at like a 7:10 pace and destroyed my quads.
Yeah.
Don't do that. If you're looking down and you're like, I'm going to make up time, no. Do not. Lightly jog the downs. Use poles. My advice is to use poles. You might think in your head, like, I don't want to use poles, no one else has poles. Well, the cool thing is, and this is where I wish that I had poles at Rocky. I did not take my poles at Rocky. I rolled my ankle right off the bat. Literally mile 3, I rolled that ankle. If I would have had poles, I wonder if it would have been a different story because I could have taken that pressure off the ankle by using poles.
Yeah.
And the big thing is when you're going down and you have poles, you can kind of put your poles out and you're not putting as much pressure on those legs as you're going down. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, this is a lot of stuff that I've learned that I think all of those things could really help people.
Yeah, it's super helpful. What about from like a mental side of things? Like, how do you kind of chunk up the race mentally?
To me, it's like, you have to break it up, right? Like I think about, and I'm going to use this because you can relate to it, the BPN marathon. When we ran that, it was 6.5 out, 6.5 back, 6.5 out, 6.5 back.
Yeah.
So once we went 6.5 out, all we had to do was come back and we were halfway. And then once we got back to the out, it was like all we had to do was turn around and come back one more time and it was over.
Right.
So being able to break that up and whatever is best for you, for me, it was like, okay, like we just talked about with Rocky, one lap, 20. That's great. One lap, 40. Okay, perfect. Now at 40, I can start breaking it up to where I'm like, okay, in 10 miles, I get to see Amanda, my girlfriend, and she's going to pick me up and she's going to take me for 10. So at 50, I'm like, all I have to do is just go 10 more miles and I get to see her. So I see her and then I'm like, okay, she's going to pace me for 10. And then I get to see one of my best friends, Drew, and he's going to go for 20. And then, so breaking it up like that, like, so for me, it's like when I do Leadville, you break it up by aid station. So it's like, okay, I got to get to May Queen and I know that that's 13. And then I gotta, I get to see everyone and like, it's a vibe. And then you get to go to Outward Bound, and Outward Bound is like the massive field. You see everyone there. It's super sick. Then you get to Twin Lakes and you're like, once you get to Twin Lakes, all you got to do is climb Hope's Pass and turn around and you're coming home. Then you climb Hope's Pass and you get out to Winfield and you're like, all right, we're at halfway. This is sick. We're almost, we're halfway done. Then you're like, all I have to do is climb this mountain one more time and I get back into Twin Lakes and the hardest part of the race is over and you pick up your pacers. So with that being said, chunking it up like that, it's very, very, very important who you have pacing you. And it's even more important where you put those people. So for me, I did Amanda, my friend Copeland, who's an Army Ranger, second, and then I had Drew Darby third at Rocky Raccoon. Because I wanted to see Amanda first, to kind of like bring my spirits up, which was great. Like she did. She was, la da da, how she is. Just she was a vibe. And I had Drew last because I really want that last person to be able to push you. But I had rolled my ankle twice that we sent a text and I was like, hey, like I need Drew next. Like, cause Drew and I are, closeness wise of everybody, it would be like Amanda, Drew, Copeland, like how close I was to everybody. And I was like, I need Drew right now. So yeah, I mean, it's very imperative on where you put people. Like when I did Leadville last year, I had Casey Klein, Austin Myers, Lauren McGettrick. Lauren was in the military and she's a boss ass girl. And I was like, she's got to be last. Like, cause she'll be like, hey, suck up your shit and let's go. So I put her last. Casey Klein, great friend of mine, but like same thing aside, like Amanda, like, right. Let's go. This is a good time. Like, here we go. So I put her as my first pacer. And then I knew I would struggle on power line, making that climb. So I put Austin Myers there because I knew that Austin would be like, the guy that I needed in the middle that was like, hey, like let's just get through this. So it's picking the correct pacers that can help assist you the best.
Yeah. Have you ever had a bad experience with a pacer?
Yeah, Leadville won when I didn't have time to have pacers because I was 29 days out, and like at that point, like I had 5,000 Instagram followers. I didn't know anybody. Nobody really knew me. So I just started reaching out and like to friends of friends of friends of friends. And I had a friend that knew of somebody who knew of somebody else who might know someone that lives near Leadville. And I had this girl that I got put in touch with. Her name was Izzy. I don't follow her. I don't even know where she went. I don't know anything about her. But she drove out to Leadville to pace me. And just so I wouldn't be alone, I had one pace. Like she was my only pacer. Like, that was it. And that, we walked for 50K together.
Damn.
And like, we didn't really, like, I didn't know her. Like, we didn't talk. Like, she was just kind of there, like, making sure I didn't, like, fall over and die or sleep or anything like that. So, I mean, that wasn't like a bad experience, but like, that was me seeing, like, I'm like, oh, like, pacers truly matter. Yeah. Like who you have with you truly matters.
Have you done a race like Andy Glaze style with no pacers, no crew?
Like, no, dude, like, what? I reached out to him before I was going to run Rocky, and I was like, hey, dude, like, saw you running Rocky. I was like, I'd love to come out and pace you. And he's like, no, I'm good. No pacers, makes it harder. Exactly what he said. Like, I have the DM. Like, and I'm like, wow. Yeah, I figured you'd say that.
Good old Andy Glaze.
I mean, same thing as Goggins. Like, Goggins don't have, these people don't have pacers, but for me, it's more of like a safety aspect, like, going out there overnight, and like I told you, like I hallucinate really bad and have a lot of like weird shit that I see. So for me, it's like I know that I kind of need someone there. With the half-mile loop that I'm doing here in 3 weeks, I won't need a pacer.
Yeah.
So it's here and there. Like, if you're running a half-mile loop at a 12-minute pace, no matter what, at the half mile, you're going to be able to look and see people. Like you're going to be able to see your crew. Like I could stare at my crew the entire time. And then you're going to see them every 6 to 8 minutes.